Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming for this second masterclass meeting at the Maison des scénaristes. And we are very happy to welcome Melina Leon for his first film at the fortnight, La Quinzaine des réalisateurs, which is in competition for Caméra d'Or, I think. Great.
That's right.
Yeah, we're very proud. First of all, how did you come to writing?
I guess I came to writing because my father was a journalist, so it was. I guess it was easy for me from a very early age to. I had a certain sense of aesthetic and a certain pleasure for reading and writing. So, and then when I began studying film, I just felt it's natural to come up with an idea, put it in paper, and then film it. I felt it's more natural than searching for material. Although it's in my head to do that, but it's just I guess a very instinctual process that you have to have an idea and the need to put it on paper, and I do it in many ways. So sometimes I would do like a poem and try to make a short film with that because I think the poem is good but not good enough as a poem, so this has to be filmed. Sometimes it's I read something, but I figured I can change it this way. In the case of my film, the idea was a little bit ambitious, so I searched for a co-writer. So it's many ways that one begin writing things. No? I consider myself more of a filmmaker than just a writer. No?
But how cinema come into your mind? Because your father was a journalist, a paper journalist, I mean a writing journalist?
I guess because I fell in love with art at a very early age. All kinds of art. Poems, paintings, music, everything fascinated me. And film has all of them. So that's what I love about it. And I can't remember a day I thought, oh, this is what I'm going to do. It was more like, I just, from a very, very early age, I just search for art. And I breathe it. It fascinates me, everything about it. It's a painting. We went in our way here, we stopped with the actors and went to Museum Chagall. And I thought, oh my God, this is a movie. It's like movies in front of you. And then reading a novel, it's a luxury nowadays, and we don't have time. But, still, so I guess like that. Film, I fell in love with film because it has all of that. Also, my dad, since he's a political journalist, had a harsh life. Coming from a harsh country, very violent country, and I felt that journalism wouldn't allow him to reflect as much as he wished he had. Like, you have to write on the spot, right? It's like if you don't write it today, it's not news anymore. So it's too much stress for me. I found his life to be difficult, and I didn't want that for me. I wanted to have time. So that's why I figured I'm going to write about the same things that he does, but I'll reflect on things and add beauty and I guess the other aspects that you can add with when you're in the art. That's.
You were very inspired about the work of your father.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was inspired by the attitude towards life, by searching, always talking to people, and also the attitude of retelling stories. He would always go somewhere to go for some news, write some for work, no. But he would always come home and tell us the stories. So I like that attitude where you learn something and give it to somebody else, and fascinate other people and open their minds. And coming from a country that, especially we grew up in the 80s, where it was so poor, everybody was so poor. Just his trips to the foreign were absolutely fascinating to me. And also this courageous attitude towards power, right? Like telling the truth and not taking for granted everything that people or politicians tell you right away. Like always, okay, he said that, but why did he say that? And going beyond appearances. That inspired me a lot.
So in a way, it's you put in a fiction the work of your father.
Yes.
So cinema came at college.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go to film school from a very early age, but there was no film school in Peru, and we had no money my parents had no money to send me abroad to study. And I didn't speak French, so I was like, I still don't speak French. So, and American schools are very expensive, so I just went to study communications because in that career they have a lot of film classes. So that's what I did, and then I put together some money when I finished it, and then went to New York, to Columbia University. Yeah. To do finally what I wanted, which was study film, masters in film art, masters in filmmaking. I guess it's MFA is Masters of Fine Arts. So yeah, it took me a while because it's really expensive there. So you have to have some credits and things like this. Yeah.
And so the first short films, they were school films.
Yeah, my shorts. I made a short film in Peru when before going to New York. That was okay. Got a little bit of attention inside Peru. But my work began when I was in New York. I made two shorts. One is called Girl with a Walkman, which I still really like. And I made them in 16 millimeters. And that's the one I wrote as a poem on a napkin. And the other one, it's my thesis film, which is called Lily's Paradise, that went to festivals and things like Clermont-Ferrand and New York Film Festival. Big festivals like in Latin America. I won awards, and yeah, that one did better. That was a super 16 millimeter film with the same actor that I have in my opera prima. So what can I say about those shorts? Maybe you want me to tell you how did I write them?
Did you write it alone? Did you write them alone?
I wrote them alone, yeah. Yeah, the first one, as I said, began as a poem. And the other one, it's memories. It's just memories of my childhood.
And after the second one, who won awards in New York Film Festival, I think.
Yeah.
And Clermont-Ferrand, and so how things change. You meet some producers.
Well,
did you have an idea about the feature film you want to make?
It helps a lot. Now that I'm here, I know how helpful it is. Like when you go to a New York Film Festival, even if it's with a short film, you have to stand in front of 1,000 people. Then I died. I thought I was gonna die. You see, like yesterday or Thursday, I stand in front of 800 people. I thought, okay, I've been here. It's fine. It's fine. You're not gonna die, and it's better if you don't, because it's better to speak and be reasonable. But yeah, it prepares you. It really does. It's all the shocks that I had about filmmaking. I had them with that short film. So now I'm more calm. And it, of course, prepared me in regards that I got attention, for example, of Torch Films. It's a small, tiny production company from New York that helped me do this one, my first feature. How else? I guess all the mistakes that I made in the shorts, I tried to fix for this one. How else? There, I guess I got to see a little bit of the festival circuit. But yeah, it still was terribly hard to finance the first feature. So.
Did you write the script right away, or did you have the idea and you find some grant for the development, or?
No, I wish I had. I knew that you could get funds to develop things. I guess I wish, or I wish I had the patience to do that also. Like, so I just wrote at night. I would work in the morning, editing. I edit films, edit all kinds of things, corporate videos, ads, PSAs, all kinds of things. And at night I would write. I wish I knew you could apply for development, and so that you could just write. That would have been smarter, but I would have made an editor. So everything has two sides. So yeah, I basically had a script. Why I decided to work with a co-writer, because the topic is so harsh. It's about a mother whose baby gets stolen in a fake clinic in Peru. So I began this 10 years ago. I really had no idea how it feels to be in the darkest place. So I figured I needed a company to go in this journey. It's just horrifying. And I think it worked. Michael J. White is a novelist, a friend of mine that I met at Columbia. And he has the discipline of a writer. He writes every day for many hours. So what we would do is he would listen to my stories, my memories, and put them on paper. And then I would revise and give feedback. Basically, that's. So we made a first draft.
How did the first idea of the film come?
Oh yeah, the first idea of the film. Sorry, I forgot that. Haven't said this part. I was studying, still doing my master's at Columbia, and my dad. It was actually my mom that came to visit, and she told me, your father just got a phone call from a French woman. She has called very early in the morning, and guess what? She is one of the babies that was trafficked 30 years ago, and your father was writing about her mother actually, was trying to help her find the kids. So that to me was unbelievable. It was like the living proof that you can't escape your past.
That means that the baby was brought in France.
Yeah. The kids were sent to France. So that's why she had a French accent, although she looks like me. So I figured it's unbelievable. It's like almost like a dead coming back from, from the grave. So I thought, of course, I was looking for a story for a first film, and there it was. It came to me. So from there, I began, actually, the first draft of the film. It's from the point of view of both women, the adopted French lady and the mother, the Peruvian mother. But then I felt it was out of my hand. It was going out of my hands. It was too much. I began changing as a person. I began missing my country. I always wanted to be in New York. I was always like dreaming of being like in a place that is less violent and more accommodating to arts. So, but in the same time, I spent so many years there, and I was beginning to miss my country, and realizing how Peruvian I am, and understanding the importance of identity. So I figured, let's forget this complication and let's just tell the story of the mother, which is protagonist. It's like the woman that really went through all these things. Also, I was watching all these films that Richard Peña was showing the New York Film Festival, and they all had all these stories that are a reflection of the political context. So that influenced me a lot too. So I just tell the story in order. It's uncomplicated. What happened, and what has to happen for these things? What's the human condition? It's so rich that I thought it was more than enough. So.
Did your father investigated in this affair of wounded children? Did your father wrote about it, about the child who?
Yeah. He so wrote. That's why the French lady called
material.
him.
Yeah, that's what. So you have material for that.
Exactly. The French lady called him and said, "Thank you. I have gone back to Peru, and my mother said to me, you were never given an adoption. You were stolen, and here are the newspapers." She had collected everything that got published. So that helped her put together her early childhood, I guess. So, yeah, there was some of the material that's still there. For example, the fact that it was our own government in cahoots with the mafia. Not our government as an official institution, but members of the judges. So judges were allowing these kids to be sold, and that's why the French parents thought they were doing legal adoptions, because the papers were in order.
Even the politicians were aware about this, because there is a scene where the journalist went to see the senator. And he told him, okay, the guy are on prison now, but where are the children? And the senator, just don't make any problems, because these children are better in the new families than the poor families. It is that they have no future in the poor families, so let it go.
Yeah, it's so shocking. That exact phrase. You see the script. I don't know how many of you have seen the film, but I guess most of you haven't had the chance to go. It's a script based on improvisations, but it's all mixed. Some parts of it are written like that he's mentioning. That part it's on paper, and it came from a phrase that a priest told my father. He interviewed many people about this case, and a priest told him, well, think about it the other way. Like, these kids are going to have a great life instead of what they have here. So I can never forget this. So I put it in the mouth of a congressman. I thought, this is the status quo speaking. It doesn't matter. He's a priestess. It's perfect. He could be capable of saying this. So yeah, but the other point is important. No, it's a script that it was a blueprint, really a blueprint for the movie, because the dialogues, since I'm not Quechua, or I have been raised as I guess Western person, I don't understand that so well, the Quechua culture. But I wanted to understand it, to approach it. So I went for actors that are actually really Andean people, and whose first language is Quechua. So, and they of course have a rich culture. They do scissors dance, which you see at the beginning of the film. So they told me how to fix the script. They changed the lines, and even in the first celebration, I wanted to begin the film with a rate of flight. I didn't want to portray them as sad people that are always being scammed and suffering. No, of course, I wanted to portray them as regular people that are hopeful and joyful, and full of rich traditions and hopes.
Hope.
Of course. So I had written a birthday party. And that was stupid, of course. So I realized it was when we were rehearsing, the scene was not particularly moving for the actors, particularly interesting for the actors. So I said, "What would you do?" Well, what? So they thought, since he's, why don't we do this celebration to bless the costumes of the dancer, of the scissor dancer? I said, that's great. How does that happen? And then we wrote it together. They told me it's how it goes. They drink pisco. No, it's not a pisco. It's something like a very strong alcohol, and pass it, and then they read the leaves of coke, and to see their future, and that's what happens at the beginning. And then he dances, and then they sing. All of that was through conversations with the actors, and just having the openness to change the script.
It was great in the script that there's this other story of this journalist having a homosexual relationship with this actor, and this is the contrast about this morality that they can't leave their relationship because he received some threat on paper, and so he decided to stop the relationship. And there's the contrast about the other way. This totally immoral to take children from their parents and bring them abroad. So there's this contrast is very interesting, because the society accept those things and doesn't accept things that should be very natural.
I figured, as I was writing, I was feeling bored with my father. I thought, oh my God, he's so privileged. Like, oh my God, it's just boring. So what do we do? I can't be falling asleep as writing a script. What is the audience gonna feel like if I'm falling asleep as I'm writing this? They're gonna kill me. So I figured he has to suffer. He has to live this in the first person. He can't just watch. So he became gay. And it was actually Isabel. It was actually, one of the previous drafts was Isabel. So, and I was already, she has to live in another movie. So then I remember, how difficult it is for my gay friends in Peru to even hold hands, to even anything. I've never talked about them about this. I've never talked to them about this, but I see it all the time. And after they've seen the film, they have told me that is just a matter of life and death. It's just horrible. They talk about surviving, and probably I'm gonna do a documentary about this topic. Now that they are able to tell me that they feel like I feel for them, like I feel. So I just got inspired by Isa is inspired by a real friend of mine from Cuba. So it's a long story, but actually I got a co-production from Spain, and the one thing I liked about that co-production is that it's set on the Canary Island, that company. So they had to send a couple of actors from the Canary Island, which, as you know, they have the almost same accent as Cubans. So I figured that's great. My character, one of them, the main one, it's Cuban. So it's gonna be perfect. So that's the Isa is actually, he's not Cuban, he's from Canary Island, but nobody can tell.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell.
So you finish the script. You find a producer. So it was difficult to find the money.
I never found a producer. I'm the producer.
Oh, you produce on your own? Everything? No,
That's the thing.
Producer.
I have 100 producers.
Yeah.
But I'm the lead producer.
Okay.
So yeah, it's difficult.
So
yeah,
you decide to produce yourself because you couldn't find one, or just?
Yes, because I couldn't find one. Correct. I mean, my director of photography is a producer, and he works a lot, and it's really. But he got involved after the shooting as a producer, and then my co-writer became a producer because we couldn't find a producer, and we found a number of co-producers and associates, but nobody that would lead this. So yeah. On the other hand, you see, everything has two sides. Like if I wasn't the producer, I couldn't have had total creative control of the film, which I have. Yay!
So how
yeah, nobody can say. Well, I mean, it kills me. Believe me, it kills me. So you have to think of everything. Like, how do I bring the actors to Cannes? Everything, every detail. But at the same time, I designed the credits. I decided they're gonna be blue. I decided the translations. I decided every song, how much money we're gonna spend on soundtrack. Some co-producers were already like, "This is too expensive." No, I don't care. Let's do it expensive. And so if somebody was, above me in terms of money, they may cut our wings.
So how did you begin the production? Did you decide to produce the film? Did you looking for a casting?
How did we begin? Yes, we got.
Do you have a professional and non-professional actors?
Yeah, the attitude was always let's find people that can do this authentic. If they are going to be actors, fantastic. If they are going to be non-actors, great. So, but I always thought it's going to be too hard to find actors for certain parts, for the parts of Georgina and the indigenous, let's say, and immigrants in Lima that have gone through such hardships. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be too difficult. So I figured, let's find non-professional actors. So I went to this village called Villa El Salvador. It's, to put it easily, it's like a favela. They have some theaters there. So I just made all the casting there, in that area. For months, like 6 months, I will go every weekend and just cast. And people was super interested. They will come. Yeah, of course. And I was lucky with Pamela. She she came. She was recommended by the director of one of these theaters, and since the moment I saw her face in Facebook, I was like, wow, she's magnetic. And then I saw many women after her, but she kept coming to my mind. She had a little bit of preparation. She was an activist. She would do political performance, so she knew how to use her body language. Even though when she came to the casting, she's I don't know if you've seen her around. She's so thin. She would in the casting she took forever to stand up, and you could feel like she was pregnant, even though she's like 40 kilos. So yes, she had some preparation, not a total like improvisation. Some other actors, though, are completely. It was their first experience, and yeah, we went from zero.
And the journalist?
The journalist I had worked with for my short, and he's a professional actor. Yeah.
So then you were on the. Did you work a lot with your DP, because there is a work on the image which is really amazing. How did you work with him?
How did we work with Inti? We work on the script too.
Oh yeah.
We cut a number of scenes because he thought this is too much, and he has much more experience than all of us. He shot like 34 films, even though he's so young. So we listened to him because we were too ambitious and put too many scenes on the schedule. So we gave priority to the story of Georgina and decided the story of Pedro will be there, but it will support Georgina's story. Although we will respect the premise that he will also have a personal life, and we will also see that. But it will be a little bit more in the background, because in the script he had more time on screen. And how did we work together with Inti? We come from very similar backgrounds, very leftist parents. And so we talk a lot about the world. We talk about the movies. We watch many movies together. But this whole thing was, I guess, in a very short period of time, because he doesn't live in Peru. He's shooting everywhere in the world. So we talked on Skype, and then during the 5 weeks of preparation, we watched a lot of that Russian filmmaker.
Yeah.
I forget, Zhavantsev, Andrei Zhavantsev. Yeah, you know who, the director of Leviathan, Leviathan, I guess you pronounce. Pardon? Loveless, no? No. Contemporary Russian. That directed Loveless.
When come the idea?
The Return.
When come the idea to shoot in black and white?
We shot in black and white because of the simplest reasons. Many of them. It was a time of that lack color. It was gloomy. Also practical reasons. We had little budget, so, and even I had heard once a conference given by Michael Haneke where he was saying the White Ribbon was shot in black and white in part because he didn't want to make a mistake with the painting, with the tints. He thought maybe we're gonna be inaccurate. So in our case, it's even more, of course. No? So. And it really, as we were filming, we were like, "Oh God, thank God this is black and white," because some stuff was absolutely inaccurate. But of course, in black and white, you can tell, like the colors change, and yeah, you don't notice certain things, and yeah. And the reason why it's 4x3, it's just like a square. We felt, let's use everything we have to help the audience film in the 80s. And this is the format that was used during the TV we used, no? A square. Some other filmmakers have used it, like Pablo Larraín, for no. He also used the square, the 4x3 format. And also, we wanted to trap them, either inside windows, inside doors, but sometimes you don't have control of the design, so you just shoot whatever in the location. So changing the format, changing the aspect ratio is already helping this. A time without horizon should be expressed somehow. So that's why.
And you work the contrast, a lot of contrast. Was it on the shooting or after, or also working on the contrast on black and white?
Yeah, no, it's shot in black and white. We bought a monochrome camera. It's a camera that just shoots in black and white, and what that does is that it's a red camera that doesn't have the filters that put the color, so it's very sensitive. So it's like 3,200 ISO. So we went to the desert in the middle of the night, and there's still an image printed because of that camera. It was our only luxury. He already had lenses, his lenses that he loans for shoots without budgets, I guess. Lomo lenses from the Soviet era. So that was our only luxury, to buy the body of this red camera. But it's expensive to buy the body, but at the same time it allows you to shoot almost without lights. So you save in the end. And
the way you shoot in the village and the way you shoot in Lima is not the same. I mean, it's just. You wanted that have a difference in the village, the image in the village, which is more, natural, and the image in Lima, which is more sophisticated.
I guess what makes it more sophisticated is the fact that it's indoors, there is light, and the fact that I don't know, it wasn't that we decided it's gonna be different. The thing is, in the village, it's next to the ocean, and it's so foggy there. That's why it looks different. Okay. The fog is everywhere, and we waited to shoot during the winter for that fog. We were ready to shoot 8 months before, but it was sunny, so we had to wait for that fog to come to us. And then in the city is mainly downtown Lima, which is far from the ocean. So this is the difference, and of course there's construction, the art direction, no? the set design. I guess it's completely different. This architecture is Spanish architecture. The other place, it's like they just built shacks on the hills because that's the only thing they could do. They were coming from the Andes, running away from the war between Shining Path and the government. So, and the peasants were in the middle of the mess, so they just escaped to the coast and built houses in the hills, on the hills. So had to be different, but it wasn't a conscious decision. It just looks different. Yeah. It's shocking, actually. It's really
but it looks different because of the difference of the lights.
Yeah, I guess.
Sea and
yeah, the other one is like
There is a shot on she's going down the hill and with a very, very foggy image, and go back to her house down.
Yeah.
This is really real fog. I mean, this is no special effects.
No.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a crazy shot.
It is crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that's our I guess that's our charm in Lima. It's so gloomy and depressing, but but at the same time, like for a movie, it's like, wow, what is this? Is this a dream, or a nightmare? What is this? I know, but it was suitable for the story. You don't know if it's a nightmare, if it's real. Like I to the day, I can't believe people are stealing babies for $16,000 and selling them. It's $16,000. We don't even say it in the film, but can you really believe it? So that's why I think it works. This unbelievable weather.
How does it work? Does it work with the actors, non-professional actors? You said you have parts, playing parts, and parts with improvisation.
Yeah, she never got the script. I just told her what's going on in each scene, and we went from there. For the moments where there is more dialogue, she got a glance of. And when she had run out of words, and she would get a glance of the script, or when she was improvising, and I thought it would be interesting if she would say something, I'll give her a line, and then we'll see if it would work, and if it wouldn't work, I'll let her just keep silent or search for her own words. It's different ways each time, but mainly it was improvised. Mainly she would just know the context, go from there. Yeah, she's wonderful to work with. She's wonderful to work with. Yeah, so it wasn't much work to do, really. I mean, there was during rehearsals, but during the shooting, I was paying more attention to the other actors. That's what I'm saying. Like, she was already with me in the film.
And what about shooting in Peru? About a very dark time, which is the 80s. How people react about the film, because they know the subject you were shooting.
Yeah, well, people in general have gone through so much. We go through so many things in Peru, scandal after scandal, disgrace after disgrace. So people really don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear about it. They just want to go to the movies. That's very typical. Go to the movies to enjoy. So let's see what happens. We haven't. Of course, this is a world premiere. So and I understand. It's the president just shot himself. The president during those days, Alan Garcia Perez, very responsible for the madness. He just shot himself in the brains with the police at his doors. We were finally going to put him in jail for corruption. And he was like, I'm not giving you this moment. Bam. So go from one thing to the other. So that happened. The next week was something else. So you can't believe how happy they were to hear that a female filmmaker was going to Cannes. It's like we got so much press because they were like, oh my God, some good news. So who knows? Most likely people are going to be like, oh, this is the topic you were talking about, shining path. Trafficking of children, government corruption. Oh, well, it's going to be difficult. At the same time, it really does help that it's getting the attention of out abroad, and so maybe people will give it a chance.
But during the shooting in Lima or in the village, how do the people react about the subject you were shooting? About talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about?
Well, yeah, no. During the shooting, people are really accommodating and nice. One just had the team just really had to be extremely careful with the drawings that you see on the walls with this hammer and sickle, the communist logo design icon. How do you say it? We had to be very careful with all those shining path paint graffitis, because the authorities go crazy. So we really had to warn them that we are writing this. It's not shining path coming back. It's just us remembering. And we had to. The production team had to be really careful to erase everything, and to let them know it was erased, because people get scared right away. It's horrible. I mean, there's a point. There's a reason why they were called terrorists. Of course, they would kill people, but it wasn't only that. They would put graffiti everywhere they could, with the sticker and Hamel and, Viva la Revolution, whatever. The Communist Revolution is coming. Huge graffitis everywhere. So just the thought of seeing that. It's scary. The past coming back. No. But apart from that, people love, of course, love shooting. So.
And at the end, no, I'm not spoiling it, but
yet not to spoil it.
No, I don't spoil it. There's the revolution part. You talk about the revolution part of your film.
Oh yeah.
Does it come naturally, or did you think when you were writing, well, I think we can link this, or how does it come?
We were so marked by the shining path; it has to be present somewhere, and I figured, of course, the shining path is present in all our lives. My mother lost her job because of shining path. She was an anthropologist, and she was researching this plant in the Andes, and she had to stop her research because shining path was killing researchers. My neighbor lost her husband because he was on his way to somewhere and a bomb exploded. Everybody in Peru has a cousin, a friend, somebody that got affected somehow. So I figured, these people, of course, they have to be like everybody. They have to be affected by shining path somehow. And of course, how does it happen that such a violent group begins to grow? Of course, it begins to grow in a zone of disaster, a zone where government is a disaster. It's a terrorist in its own way. You saw the Palace of Justice. It's like they don't care about these guys that are. It's another sort of terrorism, I think. So
it's like the only way to it could be the only way
violence
to
react. It's the society so violent. It's gonna, at some point, something's gonna explode, and it's Leo. You don't know, but it's growing, and we did it in purpose. You don't really know what's happening with him. He's just every time more aloof, and all of a sudden comes as a surprise. But we are in the shoes of Georgina, and it was a surprise for her.
You think about robbing or something. When you hear some conversation with his friends, you think they are robbing something. And
yeah.
It's not, you don't think
you
political.
Don't know. You know
think
that.
political.
You don't think political. Yeah, you think that something weird is happening. Yeah. And then,
So how many days did you shoot?
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah, with 5 weeks of preparation and 10 years of struggles.
How many weeks for editing? Did you? So you were an editor. So you take time for editing.
Yeah. Well, we ran out of money, so I was editing again just the weekends. We edited for like 3 months, but the cut wasn't right. So I kept working and working. So I think in the end it was like 6 plus 3, let's say 8 months of editing, more or less. Yeah.
Did you have the film? I mean, in your head when you finished the script, or did you have it after the shooting, or did you still working on it when you were editing? I mean,
it changed so much in the editing room. It's unbelievable how much it changed. There's even a scene where Georgina was supposed to be talking to Leo on the phone, and it just didn't work. So, thank God she was covering her mouth. So we used it for her talking to Pedro, to the journalist. So it just gives you an example of how things change. Yeah, it changed completely. But I mean, it's the heart of it. The idea, it's there, but you have to piece things so you cover your mistakes or improve other things, of course. Yeah.
Was it? Did you want it more longer, or this 1 hour and a half? So about 1 hour and a half. Is this the?
I thought it was gonna be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like 120, like 2 hours, but it's 97. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect that. But I'm happy, like, everyone wanted that length, so whatever. I guess it's great to please if if you're okay with it. I'm happy there. The producers are happy because
the co-producers they ask you to cut, or they just accept your work?
No, that's why. Thank God I'm the producer. yeah. They wouldn't dare. They just
yourself. Just yourself. Just you
I mean,
yourself.
they of course they gave me feedback.
Yeah.
But to improve, not to cut. There wasn't a measure of quality. It was, let's cut because what we have is bad, not because we need shorter to sell.
So after that, you finish the film, and you send it to Cannes.
I wish we cut. We cut, and then post-production comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a long work in the mixing.
Yeah.
In Spain, it was at least 2 months of mixing and a month of dubbing and doing all kinds of things. I went there for final mix, so 2.5 maybe.
Did you work on the image?
The image? The image was
also?
in Brazil. Yeah, the DP, who became a producer too, insisted that we should work with this artist named Fabio Sousa, who's a brilliant color corrector from O2, works in Lab O2. And they work a lot. Like usually for these small productions, you work for a week, you're lucky. But he took it as his own project. And they were much more than that, like 2-3 weeks, giving the final look to the film. It was very different. Now they became like the image now has a grain, and it became much more gray. It was more contrasty before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't even bring the Roma comparison. Don't even bring it up. The Roma comparison. don't even like yeah.
It's amazing the work you can do with even with black and white in post production because
a lot.
Because I thought the grain and all this the gray was on shooting. It was crazy.
It is. It is. It's, yeah, we can do a lot of things. Yeah. It's beautiful. And it's just Da Vinci, yeah? It's nothing like, it's Da Vinci. But the artist is particular. It's Da Vinci, which everyone can have, but it's Fabio Sousa, an interiorist.
So after that, you send it to festivals? Did you think of Cannes right away, or?
No, we never thought of Cannes because it's so like, oh my God. Until we realized, oh, it's the end of December, so maybe we can give it a shot. But what we did was go to the market called Ventana Sur in Argentina, where many people from Cannes, because it's organized by Cannes and the Inca. The Inca or whatever, they're from Argentina. So we figured we should go there and find a sales agent, and who knows, maybe the Cannes people are going to watch it, maybe they're going to like it. Who knows? So yeah, well, that's what we did, and that's exactly what happened. We found a sales agent from France. The name of it is Luxbox, and it's run by Fiorella Moretti and Eddie Sardi. And it's a small, beautiful company that really helped us pay our debts. So I love them for that. And they sent it. They applied for us, and yeah.
And what is the budget?
It's around 650,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you receive a phone call from Cannes, tells you.
I wish that would have been great.
Where were you?
It was Fiorella.
Where were you when you?
I was in Lima. We were talking about something else. We were supposed to meet. I can't remember. Well, we were talking every day to see to hear about reactions, because other people from Cannes were watching, and what did they say and what they did not say, and what was his face, and what was you think did they say that before? We were asking other festival programmers, do you think this email is normal? But they say this to everybody. This kind of thing went for at least 2 weeks. And then it was funny because we were talking with Fiorella about something, and Inti is like in every conversation. We were talking about something else, and she's like, sorry, I'm late to this WhatsApp meeting, but I was just on the phone with Paolo, and we are in. I was like, oh. Oh, I guess we can change the subject of this meeting. Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, amazing.
And then, so does it change a lot?
And then I woke up because I was attending the meeting like in automatic mode. I was like, wow. Yeah. But if it changed, we don't know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. You never know anything. I mean, when it's your first feature, of course, you go step by step and learn everything. People warn you of certain things. You hear from other filmmakers their film was at Cannes, then it goes to many festivals and things like this. But at least I'll say like half of the things nobody tells you about. So, and every film is different. So we really don't know what's going to happen. We're happy that, for example, now we have a French distribution. It was great. A few months before, we don't know if it's going to be seen or bought by anybody. But now
which
we have French distribution, and we have distribution in Switzerland, and I think we're going to have distribution in England very soon. I can't confirm that one, but I think it's happening.
Which is the distributor in France?
Here it's Sophie Dulac.
Okay.
Yeah,
she
not bad for
beautiful films.
Yes, she does. Oh my God! Yeah, I saw the catalog. Wow. Yeah. And Fiorella too. She has the entire catalog of Bella Tarr.
So, do you have any question?
Hi, my name is Jerry. I just graduated from film school from America. Thank you for. You mentioned that most of the dialogue in the film is in. Quechua, you said, like the
No. parts of it is
Parts
in
of
Quechua.
Quechua.
Yeah.
Did you find any particular challenges having to direct your actors while they are performing in a language that you yourself do not speak? And what did you do to work around that?
No, it wasn't really a challenge because you could see that they were themselves when they were going in their own language. What worried me was when they were going in Spanish because you could see they were struggling. But in their own language, they were like, oh, this is great. Automatic, yeah. They were directing the scene, really. It felt like that. It felt like, oh, wow, that's great. I can get to rest. Sort of thing. I'm exaggerating, but no, I knew that what they were gonna say more or less. It wasn't so like they were passing information through dialogue. Really, they were in the few scenes that are in Quechua. It was a ritual, and they were gonna. I knew what was happening because they were also doing actions. They were reading leaves for like sort of tarot, no. So as they were doing it, I guess what they were saying. Yeah, but I was surprised by some stuff when I got the translation. Like some expressions, like one of them is expressing that he sees the other sad. I didn't know they were saying that. Little things like this, but. The thing is, we got to know each other a lot. So I trusted them. They were already with me, so yeah. That's okay. Go on, please.
Yeah, I know. Thank you again. Shoot, now I forgot it. Now that I have a microphone, this is so embarrassing. Okay. So, as a director and working, like I know you've worked on short films and that sort of thing before this, and now that this is your first feature. As a fellow film school student, formerly, since I graduated,
From Colombia?
not from Columbia. I went to San Diego State, but like, was there any lessons or like experiences that film school prepared you for best that you utilized most out in the field? And was there anything that you wish film school taught you better?
Yeah, I wish film school would teach better the thing is I went to school in the US and it's a different story there. It's more like you're always struggling to find equity. I wish they told me how to, how does it work for the European system? I wish I knew how to do that. I had no idea. So, what else? I don't know. I guess, but it did prepare me for many things. The thing is, I think it makes you open. You watch so many films, you hear so many stories, you go through so many things in film school that it makes you open and not so conservative, I guess, as I have the feeling of some technicians were criticizing many things in the film, like, how come she's doing this? I can't believe she's doing this 2-hour film. I'm like, well, I'm trying things so that I don't do the same thing that everyone, it opens your mind to what has changed filmmaking. You want to do something, at least try something a bit more alive, original, experimental, whatever you want to put it like. So I guess it's very useful for that. And then you get a lot of feedback if you keep in touch with your teachers and you become friends with them. It's great to have to hear their feedback. And of course you meet other filmmakers and you make movies with them. Like these guys from Torch Films are from NYU, but still, they were studying as I was in the other school, and we met and they supported. And Michael was going to Colombia, and we wrote together. So there's some good aspects. There's some negative aspects, like the cost. But, that's another topic, but yeah, it should be less expensive. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah. Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah. during the pre-production of this movie and during, like after casting the actors, what kind of preparations did you make to kind of like foster that kind of trust between you and the performer? And how much time did you have to rehearse? Was there any special exercises that you did prior to like shooting started to like foster that kind of like verisimilitude, trust? Yeah, anything
Sure.
you did?
How do you become friends with someone? You go for food. You watch movies together. You listen to people. You listen to their story. Who's their mother? Who's their father? What do they do? What has been their most awful experience in life? What was their school? What is the biggest fear for the future? What do you think of you? Everything. You share Georgina would stay at my place sometimes. We'll go for breakfast. Everything. You listen to her troubles in her work. I met her mother. I met her father. Of course, we prepare breakfast once in her place. I follow her in one of those political activities, political performances that she makes. You get to know their love stories, what's going on with their crushes, why are they so stupid, and all that, everything. You listened. You're gonna talk. You're not the center. Forget about it. You're gonna be like, you are like, no. So that's it.
Maybe you talked before about it, but I'm sorry if it's again. What does it mean something to be a woman directing in your country?
We are a number of female filmmakers. Claudia Llosa, Rosario Garcia Montero. They have made 1, 2, 3 films, and there is a couple of documentary filmmakers, female filmmakers, that are from all older generations. But yeah, it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle. For example, to get work as a director, they always bring men from outside to direct advertising, for example. I mean, I have to say, they bring Europeans, white men, to direct ads. Yeah, it's always like this, and they have an accent and everything. It's so fun. It's terrible, but I don't care about that, so whatever. But yeah, it's hard to get a job, and of course, it's very, how do you say, macho oriented. Of course, it's patriarchal and all of that, and the Catholic rule. So yeah, you can imagine. Yeah. The thing is, what I really like about these times is that finally we're talking about the issues, because in my particular case, I really want to make things, and I have very much like this now. So I think that a number of us, let's say, put this topic under the carpet so that we could produce. Because in a way we have some freedoms. Like, I went to school, and we have some freedoms, of course. So this issue was below, and we try not to see it. But then, as you go in life, you realize, maybe there was a point. The feminists definitely had a point. Yeah, when you get a job and people think that you're not qualified, and they send the guy that he's less prepared than you, and they send him to do it because he's a guy. And then the problem is that it happens so often that if you don't want to lose your good mood and your joy, you just go like, oh, whatever, because it's too much. Can you imagine, like, if we're going to be fighting all the time because you notice that opportunities are given to people who didn't win awards with their short films, to people who didn't go to good schools to study film, but they get the money to make films. Why? You wonder why. I prepare myself. I got awards, like I proved my shorts have been, and I don't get the help. I mean, you can become bitter, really bitter. So I understand why, you know. But now that everyone's talking about it, maybe we sound less bitter, and it's more normal to discuss, and we could do it in a more civilized way, and we can improve, and we don't feel so lonely that, you know. Yeah.
And to be in Cannes and give you more credibility, maybe.
Of course. Without doubt.
Welcome.
Merci beaucoup.
I have a last question. What is your next project?
Next project, I want it to be a documentary. And I'm not sure which documentary because I have many in my mind. But I'm thinking of a theater group that it's in my neighborhood in Lima, and they're gonna be together for 50 years next year, and it's the most beautiful avant-garde Indian mix of avant-garde and traditional theater that you can ever think of. They are the bomb, actually. They are, and they have managed to stay and work together for 50 years. They got married, they divorced, they did all kinds of things. They survived the 80s, and they are still working and doing beautiful things together. I want to know, how do you do that? So maybe that's going to be the next.
And you don't take 10 years to do it, please.
I hope it gets better. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.